Well, hey there, everyone, and welcome to this edition of BEP Talks, where we bring you people from all over the world, all areas of professions, industries, at all stages of their career, all here with one very generous offer to you for you to hear their story, for them to share their story with you to inspire, to educate, motivate, entertain. You take away what you take away. But every story is so worthy of being shared. Your story is worthy of being shared, being heard, and we invite you to be a future guest on BEP Talks. So today's guest certainly is no exception to the rule of bringing all of those insights. My very special guest today is a certified energist. Now, she and I have not spoken. I need to know a lot about what that term certified energist actually means. So you and I are going to find out all about that at the same time as we welcome today's guest, Dahlia Rose.
Hi there, Beth.
Hi, Dahlia. How are you today?
I am absolutely wonderful and excited and overjoyed to be here.
Oh, well, thank you so much. It is truly my pleasure and honor to have you as a guest on BEP Talks. And as you heard in the introduction, using the term certified energist, let's start right there. What is a certified energist?
So, my life has been about creating transparency and following things down to their core. And the core of everything is energy. And so I began this journey of exploring ways to heal and resolve and grow and expand and pursue enlightenment and all of these things. And it was all through energetic means, things like Reiki, things like there's a prana shakti modality out there. And these are all ways that encourage the body to self-heal in its natural means, but through intention and through um, expanded conversations. And so that's being a certified energist is to carry that mission forward, to bring everybody back to understanding their energy and how to work with it, how to move the energy around them so that they can have a more fulfilling life. And a really, what I like to say is an expanded life, because we tend to live in contraction, Beth, and that
Yeah,
is
it's
a
true.
painful place to be.
That's so true. Yeah. Why do we do that? Why do we, well, when you said that, what came to me was that we don't seek to achieve our greatness. Is that
Mm.
what you meant by that? When we contract, we make ourselves feel and look smaller. And I guess we're viewed that way by the world, but how sad if we view ourselves that way.
Sure. And we do it for many different reasons. It could be everything from not knowing how to get there to that greatness, to not understanding that greatness can be large and small. And it
Hmm.
can also be from traumas where it feels more safe to be small. And so it's really a journey through where do you fall in that spectrum? And it may be all of those things. And
Yeah.
as we unearth that, you begin to see that greatness is a natural state of being.
Oh, I like that thought. So that's relative, though. Greatness is relative to different people. But
Absolutely. I
yeah,
believe that is an absolutely subjective journey.
right. And I remember a saying that, not everybody is born to do great things, but you can do things with great love, with great intention, with great self-fulfillment. So am I understanding correctly that you're not trying, not you necessarily, but that we all have a greatness to step into and to identify with, to own, to
Hmm.
honor, and to share,
Yes.
and to share. So is it safer to live in that contracted, you said trauma, so I can understand if someone's had a trauma that they want to shield themselves from it and um, forget the pain of it if that's even possible.
Yeah.
So tell me, I love the concept of this. Tell me about the process.
So you started to ask me a question that I think we can navigate through to the process, which was, is it truly safer to live in contraction?
Hmm.
And the answer to that is no,
Oh.
because when you, even if you were just to look at the physical body and if you could see it as contracted, so basically folded in on itself, what you would find is that blood isn't flowing to where it needs to, that organs are compressed and not functioning at their full capacity. And even a contracted mind
Mm.
is one that's closed and limited in its thinking, and over time those neural pathways will wear so deeply that
Oh.
you literally cannot see better for yourself. So contraction is not the way. And people come to me, and so this is the process. They'll come to me and they will say, Dahlia, I feel lost. I
Mm.
feel I feel frazzled. I feel afraid. I feel scattered. And what we attempt to do in the beginning is to narrow down where where that contraction is, because sometimes it can be in the physical body. In fact, I should say it's always in the physical body. But where has it transcended to? Where has it gone to? And in that process, we're looking at energy, we're looking at areas of life where contraction has happened. And there's this really beautiful moment in the conversation where we get to contracted dreams,
Oh.
where a person has gone from, as a kid, you dream big. You're going to be a veterinarian, you're going to be a zoologist, you're going to, those might have been mine. And then, yeah, and you're going to go out, you're going to help the world. And then you begin to contract and you begin to settle for what feels safe, or what would get you approval, or what would get you
Mm, mm,
um
mm.
just to the next boat that you want to be in. And so
Oh,
we get to
yeah.
that place and we actually find that the contraction was rooted in you forgetting who you are, you forgetting your divinity, you forgetting the full essence of who you are. And that's where the energy work comes into play. And so we work with breath work to expand the body. We do fascial work to expand the tissues in your body that hold everything together. I mean, Beth, did you know that you are actually made up of water, sound, and light inside your body?
Well, certainly water. No, no. I have to say, considering sound and light, no. No, that's very interesting.
We are literally made up of everything we see outside of us, and we can appreciate it. We look at the sun and we're like, wow, that's amazing. We look at electricity in a room and we go, wow, thank you, Thomas Edison. But we never look at ourselves and say it takes electrical forces for us to function within. And so your brain has electricity moving through it. Your fascial systems have light moving through them, as long as you aren't contracted. If you're contracted, that fullness doesn't happen, and it reverberates through your life, so that everything, you're not going after that promotion at work. You're uh giving your kids half of a person because you're so stressed out. You're not connecting with
Mm,
your loved
mm.
ones because it's just more pain because you're living from a stifled place.
It's really, it makes so much sense when you say it like that, and so sad at the same time, because we've all heard the expression, and I believe we are all our own worst enemy,
For sure.
and that it's easy to get into, that term that we call your comfort zone. And yet
Mm,
you're suggesting to me, correct me if I'm wrong, is that you think you're in your comfort zone, but you're really not. You really can't
no,
be happy if blood isn't flowing properly through your body and you don't have the brain power. You can't be happy.
absolutely. That is
So,
exactly what I'm saying.
so does someone, when I was asking you about the process, you say people come to you and they say, I feel lost. I guess the fact that they're still feeling is a good thing. there's some energy happening that's giving them this cue that something's missing, something's lacking. Is it always possible to go through the process? And when you say transparency, I'm feeling that you have to be honest with yourself too. You can't be
Oh,
just
yeah, it's
playing the
brutally so.
blame game. You can
Yes.
understand why and when and what and how something happened, but we all have to grow up at some point and be accountable for how we react to those things. So, this is very interesting. Is it ever too late for someone to take forward progress, to step into their own greatness and to keep setting new goals for what that greatness really is? Is it ever too late?
Absolutely not. My oldest
Oh,
client right now is 63. So absolutely not. She is coming into her own new sense of self. And the beautiful thing is that her dream is something that the world needs. And
oh,
so we are at a point with her where, in that space of it never being too late, the world is going to see something incredible before the only too late time is you no longer being here. And so, yes, she is creating changes. It's never too late for a person to actually reach for that. And I think that the world is at a loss if you don't. And so, I heard earlier you mentioned that not everybody can do something great. And I actually happen to believe that even the smallest great thing has impact. If you speak to a person on a subway and uplift their spirit,
yes.
who's to say they don't go out and do that for five other people and those five people do it for 15, and this is how we change the world at large.
Dahlia, I do that every day. I remember years ago in New York City, as an example, being on, a crowded elevator going up into, a big skyscraper building. And
Mm.
these were elevators that held like 20 people. And I'd walk on and, it would stop here and then I'd walk on and I'd always say, good morning. And when I got off, I'd always say, have a blessed day. Everybody have a great day. And there used to be dead silence. And I thought, well, I'm not going to be deterred from doing that. And as time went on, as I would get on, people would say, oh, good morning. And when I'd get off other people, it can be contagious. I had this
Yes.
conversation yesterday and saying the simplest things like a smile, passing a stranger on the street, that energy is a gift. It's a gift that you give to that person. And I believe it's also a gift you give yourself because
Oh,
I do it
yes.
all the time and I feel better. Not everybody responds, but a lot of people do. And I say to myself, I don't know the last time someone smiled at that person.
Mm.
I don't know the last time someone stopped and made them feel that they mattered in this vast world. And simple gestures. And you're right, it becomes contagious. And it's the
Yes.
simple little things, the simple little things. This is so fascinating. Who, you said that your oldest client is a 63-year-old, I believe you said a woman.
Yes.
I'm going to make a guess here. Do more people who are coming to you, and maybe it's because you're a woman, is there a gender gap here? Do more women seem to suffer from this need, this void in their life than men?
I would say yes. And I believe that is because where we are right now, the world is looking for change,
Mm,
and it starts with women. When women decide to make changes, everything changes.
everything changes. Everything. I say you change the life of one woman, you change the world. It's the hand that
Yes.
rocks the cradle theory. And this is amazing. We have to get a panel here because I was speaking to someone yesterday, a completely different topic. But I said, and I've said this for years, that at the heart of any woman is the heart of every woman. And I believe
Yes.
that because we are all so much more alike than we are different. And
Mm.
while many people tend to what I call major in the minors, focus on the things that differentiate us rather than those that gather us together and make us so similar. it's times of desperation. It's kind of like, um, survival, where our differences don't seem to matter as much because we're more
Mhm.
dependent on each other. Okay, let me put this theory out there. I love this conversation. You said a 63-year-old woman. What that made me feel like is that women in or about that age, approaching what we'll call retirement, just the proverbial retirement, 65,
Sure.
entering into a new chapter of their own life, maybe leaving corporate America, maybe leaving the classroom or the bedside at the hospital, changing their day to day, changing their 9 to 5. And I've spoken with so many women who just say, now what? Now what?
Yes.
Now what do I do? Is it easy for, and I'm going to say for women, is it easy for women to lose themselves, to lose their personal identity of who they are based on what they do professionally?
Absolutely not easy at all. And it is, you spoke to it in this question. It feels like a loss of identity, but the
So
work
wait, I
here
think you
and the work
misunderstood. So it's easy for women to lose their identity when they make a change like that in life.
it
When they
is
go,
easy.
it is easy.
Yes,
It
it's
is. Okay,
easy
so we
to
agree
lose
on
their
that. Yeah.
identity.
Or
But
to have none at all and to say, now what do I do?
well, and this is what I mean by um I had mentioned earlier that they feel lost. It's
Yeah,
because that identity wasn't full. It wasn't full. It wasn't, I almost want to say it wasn't entirely real because it was not built from an essence of them. It was built on the needs of others. And the needs of other people change so much. How can anyone who hasn't gone deeper actually know what's there? They never lost anything. What they actually, what the opportunity is, rather, is to take all of those identities and to pull them so close that it becomes an amalgamation that of things that you do. And then when you get to the core essence of who am I, like being
right,
able, the only way that you can say I am this is if it's consistent no matter what you do or where you are. And
right.
that is
Right.
part of the journey with me. And it's always so beautiful because there's a glow that comes forward as soon as a woman understands I am not that job. I'm not that paycheck. I'm not that,
Exactly, exactly.
that title.
So who we are and what we do for that paycheck for a living, there can be a period of time, and it's almost, could be decades. It almost seems kind of natural that that becomes our identity. What you need to do to get that paycheck, what you do, um, who else is expecting what from you, the projects, the
Yes.
deadlines, the et cetera, et cetera. And then suddenly at the end of the day, at the end of the career, maybe you go home and it's like, what do I, what am I getting out of bed today to do?
Right. Right.
This is such a magnificent, I love this conversation, what you're shedding light on. And I want to go back to that light thing because there are people that we know, if we're blessed, as I am, to know people that you feel like when you are in their presence, you feel better about yourself.
Yes.
They bring an energy that there are some people who can walk into a room and bring light with them,
Mhm.
and that people gravitate to them. And it's the difference between walking in a room and demanding attention versus walking in a room and commanding attention, that people just kind of gravitate to you. I'm blessed to know people like that. And that you
As am
want to
I.
be around them, as I'm sure. Well, you have to be one of those people that you see that 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 inner glow can't be kept in. It has to come out. It must be shared. And as we said before, hopefully become contagious. So it's never too late. Is this something that it's not an intervention kind of a thing? Like I would say, or you would say to me, Beth, you need to do this. You need to, you got to step into greatness. You're living a contracted life. Or do I have to recognize that for myself?
Well, you will recognize it for yourself. You mentioned earlier, you said the individuals are feeling something, something's pulling them or pushing them. That something is the whispers of your soul.
Oh,
And it is whispering to you, hey, we've been living outside of who we are. We came here to experience these things, but also to create, and we're not creating anymore. And so it is something, it's an inner calling. It's like when you it's we see it in everyday life in very simple ways. Like,
mm,
you feel the urge to just get up and, make something to eat, or you feel the urge to get up and drive somewhere, but we kind of take those things for granted. Then there's this larger urge that's still a bit of a whisper that says, hey, I have been working for everyone else. I have been doing for everyone else. Where do I do for myself? Where do I, what does, who am I now? And how does that person experience fulfillment, joy, passion, anything like that? And that's the call.
oh, I love that. I love that. So the whisper can start to become a little louder
Oh, yes.
to where it's like, hey, hey, listen to me. And that's a good thing. That's becoming honest, I guess, with yourself. It's being willing to confront or to admit or to hope that there's something greater. Can you want this more for someone than they want it for themselves?
Well, so here's the very interesting part of my story. That's where it began. I wanted more for others than they wanted for themselves. And I had to become transparent and honest with myself to say, wait a minute, is this my identity, or is this something that I think I need to be? And to be a true guide and to be a true shepherd of people is to
Mm,
meet people where they are. And that is not wanting it more than them, but to seeing the truth of why they want it. And I love guiding people to that place, because when they understand what's underneath, we can also start to disperse things. Like I had one individual who was like afraid to want money because it sounded selfish. And I was like, but do you
mm,
need
mm,
that to
mm.
live? And then
Yeah,
we chuckled about that, or to want
yeah,
love because it seems needy. And it's like, well, but we're a species that thrives on connection. And so is it the love that you want, or to want to be seen? And when we get to that instant of transparency and clarity, life opens up.
right. Money is a vehicle. It's not an end. It's a vehicle to do
Right.
other things with. It connects you to all other things, good things. Not always good. It could be nefarious as well. So I love this. It's
Fortunate to
never
not
too
have
late.
nefarious clients.
Say that again.
I said I'm fortunate to not have nefarious clients.
No, by the time they get to you, I think they have to have gone past that. They have to have realized that they have this they have this like empty space within them that they need to fill. And
Yes.
when you fill it, you have that much more to give away.
Yes.
You can't share or give that which you do not have. So you got to fill yourself up so that you can then share with the world. And you find that there are people who there are givers. There are people who are always giving, and they're never empty. Here's a
Hmm.
story: a woman, um, family, Mrs. O'Malley, shared with my mother, who was the mother of 6 children. Mrs. O'Malley had 14 children, and
Goodness.
they were having lunch one day, and my mother, they were just chatting as moms and everything, and my mother was curious as to what it was like to have 14 children. And she said, well, for any woman, the first child is always a challenge because you've never done it before. You don't know. It's a constant learning process. She said, the
Right.
second child, you have the experience. You understand. You have something. You know the process. You know the responsibilities as well. And you have two hands. The third child was the hard one. She said, because you only
Oh,
had two hands and you had three little ones and they were close in age. She said, after three, it didn't matter anymore. So she had 14. And I thought that the story of that, the simplicity of the story of it, is brilliant unto itself. But the deeper meaning of it is that in having those children, she wasn't dividing her love, it was multiplying. And then among the children themselves, they each had 13 more sources for love. And that it was so abundant, you can imagine. And it was a wonderful, wonderful family. They never felt like they didn't have enough because they had to share it with so many. They had so much because there were so many sharing with them. Is that a great
Yes.
story?
It's a great story. And if I might, there's another layer to it because by the time it sounds like, by the time she got to the third child, she knew who she was. She wasn't just a mother, she was a giver, she was a provider, she was,
Oh.
and once she had that solid formula, it didn't matter how many kids entered her life and grew under her roof because she was who she was at her
Right.
core. And what a beautiful opportunity because I
Mm.
don't think many women get there. I think we just sort of try on a lot of hats and then we get to a place in life where it's like none of these hats fit. And then you have a conversation with me.
And then you have
So
right, right, right. So how do people get to you? Let's talk about that. How do they get? And we're going to put down below this BEP talk. There will be information for people of how to reach out to you. You don't have to answer that question. What can people expect um, in getting in touch with you? What should they expect? How should they feel encouraged to say, I have nothing to hide, I have nothing to be ashamed of. This is an opportunity. This is about growth. It's not about blame. It's about life itself and making it bigger and better. What should they expect? Encourage them, in other words, to get in touch with you.
well, when you come to me, like you said, there is no shame, there's no guilt. I happen to believe that a lot of the things that we believe are negative about ourselves are actually things that are out of balance. And so that's the first conversation we have is the negative aspects you feel. You feel you're too angry. Well, wait a minute. What if we took that anger and we created passion and we let the anger go to sleep so that you had the courage to actually go after what it is that you truly want instead of shrinking and having your anger defend you in
Ooh.
that shrinking process. So they're going to learn and have a mirror held up to them that shows them balance, perfection, and beauty in the things that they felt were detrimental to their life and that were inside of them. And that alone is worth the conversation. That is our first conversation. And at the end of it, whether you decide to work with me or not, we are going to get to something that you want, and I will give you a plan to move that needle forward. And then if we are a good fit, then I will be your guide through that process.
This is so it's self-empowering using you, I guess, as an agent, a guide, which I love that word that you said that to. So the answers are all within ourselves
All the time.
all the time.
That's the only place to find them. When people say I don't know, it's usually I'm afraid to go for the
Yeah,
answer,
yeah,
but they will walk away empowered to do so.
right. So to thine own self be true comes to mind as well. Honor who you are. Listen to that whisper. As Dahlia said, that's the soul whispering to you. That's your essence saying, I'm hearing that as you're worthy of more, you're capable of more. Don't you realize that you actually want more? And in getting more, you have more to give, more to share, which going back to the whole woman thing, which I agree with you, as I said, to change the life of one woman is to change the world. We are the change agents. Women are naturally, because we are, as I call myself, a solution provider. Give me a situation, I'll give you a solution. It's because women
Mm.
want to help. It's because it's in our DNA to listen, to provide solutions, and we do want to change the world. And and please, ladies, if because I believe more women will be listening to this, believe that every day you do change the world, but
Yes.
understand that you deserve, and I use that word a lot, and it does, I don't mean to make it sound like a greedy thing. Oh, I just, different than entitlement, deserve and entitlement, very, very different as I define them. But that you do deserve your peace, you do deserve your happiness, you do deserve to know what's your next chapter and to find
Mm.
that peace within yourself so that you can share it more abundantly, because I know that that's what women innately and naturally want to do. So uncover that light that you might
Yes.
be, shielding. As the Bible tells us, you don't light a light and put it under a bushel. It needs to be brought to the top of the mountain and shared. And your mountain might be like a little, hill in the back of your house that you're sharing with maybe even just yourself. That's okay. That's okay, because if you're
Absolutely.
making your life better, you are still changing the world. I now know what an energist is. And I am empowered now because this is a great day. I've learned something new, and that's always a great day. Dahlia, your passion for this, your understanding, and I want to say the way you present it, it's with passion and I want to say this so that it's understood correctly. It's with great passion and depth and understanding, but it's not with like woo woo emotion.
We're not going to get very far with that. I mean,
Uh,
we could talk about it for 2 minutes, but yeah, I appreciate
So
that.
it's the passion. And guess what? That's what BEP Talks is all about: beliefs, experiences, and passions. So, Dahlia, I thank you so much for bringing your light to the BEP Talk studio today and glowing, because you do. You do. You have that light. You have that light. And in sharing it, I'm already feeling anybody who's listening to it, and I'll consider myself a listener, is to feel more empowered that there are things that we are meant to do, that we can do, and just decide that now is the time
Absolutely.
and be in
Absolutely.
touch
Beth,
with Dahlia. The information is below. Dahlia, thank you so, so much for sharing your knowledge, your beliefs, your experiences, and your passions with us today on BEP Talks. It's been a joy to get to know you. Thank you.
I want to thank you so much, Beth. We are reflections of each other, and your light and this show is guiding so many. And thank you for stepping
Oh,
into it.
that is
So
so,
thank you
you're
for
going to
having
make me
me.
cry.
Oh,
I'm a crier. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm a crier. So I want to say to our audience, please understand, all of us, that it's never over unless we declare it over. And then guess what? You can have a redo. You can have a do-over, a mulligan, whatever you want to call it, and say, you know what? I'm not happy with where I am right now. I have more to give. I need to give more. I want to give more. And the world, trust me, the world needs you to play that role. Look at the information below. Please be in touch with Dahlia. Change your life so you can change the lives of others. And I want to say that here on BEP Talks, we believe everybody has a story to share, a unique story, a unique situation, and we want to hear them. We want you to begin by sharing your story. So please be in touch with us here at BEP Talks. And as I always say, may the best, and wow, this really applies today, may the best, your best, always be yet to come. So
Mm.
until we talk again, bye for now.